What's going on, guys? And welcome back to the Edison Club podcast. I'm your host, Mike, alongside co-host Ty today. Ty, how's it going, man?
It's going pretty good, man. Just another day in the lovely world of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, another day in paradise.
Right.
Unfortunately, without Jimmy Buffett now.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
Yeah, rip my boy. Leave it to Jimmy Buffett to go out on a 3-day weekend.
We're going. It's gonna feel weird to make fun of that song like we was doing like we was when we was going to nationals back in Chicago.
Yeah, I know. So today's topic is going to be one that we've wanted to discuss for quite some time. It's just more or less been finding the time to actually sit down and record this, is the rise and fall of Yu-Gi-Oh card shops in our area. Ty and myself live in a town called Mount Airy, which is in North Carolina, and we've seen quite a few different card shops come and go throughout the years, and some have been better than others, and some have just been downright awful. But yeah, that's what today is for. So we're going to start at the very beginning, which what I feel like was probably the first quote-unquote card shop that we had in this area, which was a candle shop on Main Street in the downtown, which you've heard us talk about a few times here and there. And this was a card shop / candle shop, which I'm pretty sure they never sold any candles. It was probably like a front for money laundering or something.
Yeah, and the entire time we were all there, like I never saw them sell one candle.
No, me either. Me either. It was all Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and there's no telling what else they were doing. But this was, I don't really know when they had opened. I remember going in like 2007, 2008, I think, maybe sooner than that. I actually remember the first time I went, I'm pretty sure it was in GOAT format, because I remember seeing people play Reflect Bounder. And I do remember people opening up Cybernetic Revolution, so it was right in that time frame.
Like when I started going, it was like it was like right in like the middle of fifth grade year for me. That's when I had started going, like like me and like you remember Joey, like we'd start going there, and then like we were just like at the time like I mean, I'm still kind of awful to this day, but that's neither here nor there. Um,
Aren't we
we
all?
like, right. But we like when we started going, like we had just started learning about. Oh, we can only play only 3 copies of every card of any card in the deck. We was playing like before then. We was playing like 5 dark holes and stuff like that,
Busted.
dude.
The good old playground Yu-Gi-Oh.
Right.
Yeah, so this place, for what it was actually pretty nice from what I remember. I remember going there for locals on Friday nights, and I was absolutely terrible. I remember going to locals with my cards with rubber bands around them. All memes aside, I put rubber bands on my cards. And I
You ain't the
had
only one.
I had a first ed breaker in there from MFC that I pulled in a Walmart pack, and it was just had rubber bands around it.
You also pulled an Ultimate Destiny Hero Dogma as well.
I did. I pulled an Ulti Destiny Hero Dogma from a pack, and I got juiced on it.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
never meet your heroes. So this place ran pretty strong, honestly, for what it was, from probably the early 2000s up until probably around 2008. I don't remember exactly when this place ended up closing down. It was sometime right in there, 2007, 2008.
I believe it. I believe it was like right in the middle of '07,
Yeah,
because I remember like kind of like skipping forward just a tad. Is just like at the end of the candle shop's life, which I don't even remember what the name of the store was actually called. I
I
think it was
don't
just
I don't either. We just always called it the candle shop.
yeah. but like it was like right it's like right around perfect circle format was getting ready to like take full effect. Um like right around that time period because I remember at this time I was in, let's see, I was like going like eighth grade going into ninth grade.
Yeah.
And it like from that point I was like I was running like tournaments out of my house. Me and our other friend Brandon Combs, like we would switch off like every other weekend. Like he would run tournaments out of his house, and I then like the following weekend I would like run tournaments out of my house, and we would just do like $5, and then like we'd go to Walmart and get like packs or something, and like they like give that away as like prize for first, or and like we like provide pizza and drinks and stuff like that.
Yeah. That was a little ways before like I really knew all of you that well. I kind of just knew most of you in passing from coming to the candle shop.
Yeah.
So we went a few years without having a real card shop in our area. Probably at least 2 years. It could have actually been longer than that. It was a while without a card shop. And there was this flea market down the street from my house that my dad started setting up and selling stuff at, and I would go every weekend. And every old person ever wants to like go somewhere at 5 o'clock in the morning. I've never really understood that, but we would get to this flea market at like 5 a.m. And the first few weeks it was pretty fun, honestly, because it's like, oh, I can go and just look around at old random junk. I'm a big antique shopper and stuff like that. But eventually I'm just like, I'm tired of this, Grandpa. And he was like, that's too damn bad.
You keep looking.
Yeah. You keep looking for junk. You're spending all me money. But eventually I stumbled upon a booth inside the flea market, which was like, compared to the outside of this place, the inside was like some kind of like utopia. There was like food and drinks, and most of the quality, if you will, I guess, quote unquote quality stuff was inside. Yeah.
What was like, not to interrupt, but like what was the name of that guy? The guy that he sold like Yu-Gi-Oh and baseball cards and had like the real big food stand up front. Well, his name was Dave, right?
His name was Dave, yeah. And to my knowledge, we never found out what this man's last name was. He was just Dave for like 10 years.
Yeah, Dave was a goat though. Like he had he had like the best food in that flea market, dude.
He did.
I loved going there.
Yeah, he also was the kind of person that would really just cut you deals. He just like went off of his hunch of what something was worth. I remember getting a BLS from that man for like $8 when they were like 50. He was the goat.
The most broken like buy I got off of him, like it was like right when Six Samurai was about to take off, like when they got Kizan and like Legendary Six Samurai Shien and all that stuff. It was he had this like little bitty box on his table, and it had just like random stuff in it, and like I pulled out like a DT burial because I like for people that like that watch my channel, I'm a big Blackwing head. Like I love anything Blackwing, so I was playing like VU Turbo at the time. I got like a DT burial out of it that it was like $50, and it was like I got it for like $2, and then like I got a set of Gateway the Six for $6.
I remember that. I remember there were so many cards back then that he had that I thought were garbage. I remember him having a DDS Dark Magician, and I remember Taylor buying it for like $10 from this guy. And I don't know what they were worth then. I know what they're worth now, but I would still say back then it was worth a couple $100 at least.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was like, honestly, Dave's little box is like why my binder was like kind of broken back then.
Yeah. Yeah, he was always, but he was probably juicing people on buying that crap too. He was probably like, $300 stack of cards. How about $20? And they were like, oh yeah, great deal. Great success. But yeah, I kind of forgot about him, honestly, but we had another booth in there that was like the main Yu-Gi-Oh booth. And it started off, this place was so small. It couldn't have been any bigger than like your average like bathroom in your house. Very small. And they sold singles. So years leading up to this, when there was no shop and we were young and didn't have jobs and stuff, we couldn't exactly order cards. It also wasn't really that much of a thing outside of stuff like eBay. We would just have to pull crap that we need. Like, oh, I need a common Book of Moon. Got to spend $85 on packs to pull a common Book of Moon.
Right.
But they had singles, and we went there for quite some time. Me and my cousin Evan, we would go every weekend there. And I remember specifically playing on like the glass counter with the owner and his stepson for a long time, 6 or 7 months. And eventually, I guess the interest was there. And he kind of expanded one booth over and had 2 tables and some chairs there where we could actually play. And it started growing. And I remember seeing you and Combs and Dustin there for the first time. And I don't remember if I even knew you by name at that point, but I remembered you because we called you Funky Hairstyle Kid at the candle shop because you had an afro. And I was like, and I went and saw Evan. I was like, hey, the Funky Hairstyle Kid's over here.
Yeah, like, dude, I've gone through like so many weird hairstyles in my life. Like, I've gone from having an afro, I've gone from having like cornrows with beads on them. I've gone for now. I've got the dreadlocks.
Yeah, you were. I think you shaved your head in there a couple times.
Yeah, it looked like a dirty meatball that rolled under the fridge.
So we started seeing you guys there, and we kind of just gradually just became friends. That's pretty much how we became almost like the brothers that we are now. It was me and you and Evan and Brandon Combs and Saul and Kiefer. I think were like the original group, and Cody Brock like once per year when he would make it out to locals.
Right.
Then we had like the younger kids like Daniel and Darius and all of those kids that would come and play too. But we eventually grew this little flea market locals to like 4 different like booths. So it went from like the size of a bathroom to like the size of like your living room, which isn't huge advancement, but I mean for a flea market it was pretty good, honestly.
Yeah, it was pretty for what we had. You know, it was pretty nice. Like, you know, we still got to, you know, do what we all loved, and that was playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
It was, and like, you know, we, like you said, we all grew into the brothers that we are today.
Yeah. Yeah, literally just because of Yu-Gi-Oh and a flea market. Who would have known? I wouldn't have basically any friends had it not been for Yu-Gi-Oh. Honestly, I would have very few.
Same. Like,
yeah,
a lot of the friends and that I've had, and I'll use that term loosely for the friends outside of Yu-Gi-Oh that I've had. Like, a lot of people, like, the older I've gotten, like, I've cut off just because they were very like toxic for my life. But the people that I've for the grand majority of my friends that I've had through Yu-Gi-Oh, you know, like, you know, I'm still friends with all of them to this day, and like there's like they're like, I consider every one of you family.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm trying to collect myself right now because I just opened up our Time Wizard chat because I had a notification, and the first thing I see in this Time Wizard chat, this guy said, "Them Pageland bitches will suck a golf ball through a garden hose."
Yeah, I saw that too.
I'm just like trying to collect myself because I don't know what I expected when I opened that, but I did not expect that.
Dude, I love that our Time Wizard chat has gotten as big as it's gotten, because we literally have the best Edison players of North Carolina in this Edison chat that we have.
Yeah.
But I will say, is like, as cool as everybody is in there, that chat at times can be absolutely unhinged.
It can. I understand why Frazier left.
Yeah.
That was so bad that night.
I think he was there all 20 minutes.
I was so pissed off because we're getting on a side note here, but I've been wanting to say this for quite some time. I am an admin of that group chat, So whenever someone tries to add someone to that group, it doesn't tell me who tried to add them. It just says, Joe wants to join Time Wizard Duelists. So when I got that notification that night, it's like Fraser Smith wants to join Time Wizard Duelist. I'm like, okay, sick. Hydro Pump or Cameron or Prescott must have added him. Because
I think it actually was Hydro Pump that tried to add him, and then like immediately after like 20 minutes he was gone.
Yeah. So I added him, and then it comes up and says that I added him to the group. So this whole thing looks like I added him to the group. And then he gets added and he's in there for a minute. Then he leaves because I know by listening to his podcast and stuff that he doesn't really like to be in group chats.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, who the fuck added Fraser to this group? Because if it was Hydra Pump or Cameron, he probably wouldn't have left. They would probably like, hey, do you want to be in here? It was Zach. Zach added him to the group.
Oh, did he?
Yes, Zach added him to the group and he immediately left. And I was like, wow, I look like a donkey.
Oh my gosh.
I know this man doesn't like to be in group chats, but I just added him anyway. And it looks like I added him. So yeah, shout outs to Zach for ruining my day. Just kidding. So getting back on track here, we had this flea market locals for quite some time and everything was all well and good. And then we had an actual storefront open up in our area, which was called Across the Board Games. And this was the first time that we had an actual like card
Official
shop
store.
Yeah, official store. So community gets completely divided. Some people don't want to leave the flea marketplace. Some people want to go play somewhere else. We were kind of always in the middle. I remember we would kind of go to like the flea market half the day, go to Across the Board the rest of the day. And
because it kind of worked out for us like that. Because that was one thing I never understood, like why people were divided.
yeah,
Because like the thing about it was like the flea market didn't stay open long. Like
yeah,
they were open at like 9, and we'd be done with tournament by like 2, like on Saturdays like by like 2.
yeah. And then
And
the
then
flea
like
market would close at like 4 or 5.
yeah, and then like most of the time like because I like before I had a car, like me and you, like I would ride with you over to Across the Board, and like we'd go like chill out there for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. So we would do that for quite some time, and it was a nice shop. The best thing about Across the Board Games was it was across the street from a restaurant called the Derby Restaurant.
Oh,
so we would also go there and eat dinner. And going back to it again, we were a bunch of young, stupid kids, like the kids that we make fun of now for being so annoying. That was us then.
It was.
So we would go to this restaurant and we were so obnoxious, and I'm sure not a single one of us left a tip a single time. And they knew who we were because we always came from across the street, and they hated us so bad there. But across the Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think if anybody did leave a tip out of all of us, I think the only time someone left a tip was probably either Combs or it was Saul.
Yeah, the two people that actually had like real jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I only had the money that my dad would give me.
I literally only had like my little bit of like food line money and like what money I made off y'all for selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yeah, juicing people. So yeah, we went to Across the Board for a long time, and that store actually stayed open for a long time. They moved locations a couple times, and I think they finally closed in like 2018. So they stayed open for a long time. It was primarily a Magic store, but they tried to do for Yu-Gi-Oh what they could here and there, and if nothing else, it was a place with tables that we got to go play. And Jimmy, the owner, I actually still keep up with him. He's a really cool guy. He was always really nice to me.
Yeah, same.
And so that brings us into the flea market. People decided that there was enough interest that they were going to open up their own storefront. And they opened it up at Mayberry Mall, and they had a little store right outside the mall, which actually in hindsight worked out really well for them because they didn't have to be open the times that the mall did. So this shop opened in like, I think it was 2013 was when it opened, because I remember Dragon Ruler format being like one of the first formats that we played there.
Yeah, it was like it was like right before like when I it was right like during like the beginning of Dragon Ruler format because I remember like right before they opened we like I don't know if you went with us to this regional, but it was like a group of us went to a regional and like we play like we played in that regional and then like after that like Dragon's Pen was open at that time.
Yeah. I don't remember if I went to that one or not. I took a long break from Yugi. I stopped playing Yugi in like I never played in Zector wind up format, and then the next format I played was Dragon Rulers. So it was a couple
Yeah,
years.
you didn't miss much on the Dino Rabbit wind up format. Trust me.
Yeah. A lot of people tell me I didn't really miss anything.
Yeah, it wasn't a fun time for that. Like it's either you got God handed by like wind up slooping you with Hunter. You either got like just all your stuff popped by Inzectors, which I did see one person like one Inzector player at a regional one time get just destroyed by an obelisk because they couldn't destroy it.
That's hilarious.
It was I laughed so hard. Um, or you just got like uh you just got like your field controlled by like Dino Rabbit, or you got your hand completely ripped away from you by Dark World.
Yeah, seems like a dark time.
Yeah, it was.
Speaking of dark times, Dragon Roller format.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this store was really nice because this place was like the Wild Wild West. They really did not care what the heck you did, to be honest. Like, some nights on Friday nights, people would wrestle in like the play area. Some of us are like trying to play, are trying to like play test, and other guys are like suplexing people through tables. Not really to that, not to that extreme, but they were wrestling in the floor. I remember one time they bought someone's Nerf gun collection, and it wasn't like 2 or 3. I mean, it was like 50 Nerf guns. And we had an all-out war in the card shop with Nerf guns for like 2 hours. And everyone was in on it. That was a really fun day. And yeah, anything went there. Anything went. And it was a nice place for what it was, honestly. Like, yet again, the owners really wanted to give us a place to play that we could come together, you know, and it was nice to be able to go out there during the week because the flea market prior to this was only open on Saturday and Sunday. And every now and again, they'd be open on like a Friday if it was like a holiday weekend. So very rarely. So Yu-Gi-Oh! 100% was a weekend thing. So going to a storefront where we could play during the week, there was always someone at the shop. And it was a really good time. I really feel like everyone was good at Yu-Gi-Oh! In our area during that time.
Oh yeah. Dude, I would walk from my house to Dragon's Pen. Like it was like almost like it was like almost an everyday thing.
Yeah.
Like like in the thing like think about it, like by car, it's not far. But on foot is like I like it was pretty bad. Like I would like walk down that or where the Starlight Motel was.
Yeah.
And then like walk all the way up the road.
Yeah, that's a long way from where you were at. And that's a lot of uphill.
Yeah. It was literally an uphill battle.
Yeah. So we went there for a long time, and for, well, not too long, probably about 2 years, year and a half, this place was open. And this podcast is not intended to bash anyone in any way or to speak negatively on anyone. We're just pretty much discussing why these places failed.
Right.
And pretty much I think what ended up causing this place to go under was there was a pre-release for Primal Origin, which was a set that like we got artifact cards, Madolce Angeli, all these different, you know, cards that really changed Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, this is right around the time of Hat format 2014. And they took pre-registry for these things, you know, $20, you get a pack, or however many packs, 5 packs, you get a promo card, so forth and so forth. Well, not only did they not have enough packs to cover how many people had signed up, no one pulled a foil out of their kits. No
Yeah.
one, it was all rares, like 25 kits. No one got any secrets, no ultras, no, pretty sure ultimates were still in those sets. Nothing. And we just really thought we just got a bum case. Honestly, everyone was incredibly disappointed. Several people didn't get kits that they paid for. I'm not even actually sure if they got refunds or not, but we're all incredibly disappointed. And then a couple days later, we go in there and there's like a different binder laid out that we haven't seen. We look through it and it's all ultimates, secrets, ultras, supers from Primal Origin. And, you know, we kind of confronted about this, like, hey, you know, what is going on? And they said they got them from packs at Walmart. And Walmart doesn't sell pre-release packs. You know, this is at the point where like the next set didn't come out for like 2 weeks. So at that point, we don't know if they just got lucky and they just opened up packs until they pulled foils or if they scaled them or what. But it was really never the same after that. There were a lot of people that just simply just never came back after that.
It left a big bad taste in the community's mouth for the longest time.
Yeah. You guys are going to pretty much see about how like most of these stories all end, or they all start off really well and then end because of like the greed of who was running the business. So that left a very bad taste in the community's mouth. And I'm still good friends with both the owners. I still think a lot of them, you know, I think back to then, maybe they were struggling to keep the doors open, whatever, you know, but us as a community would have supported them in that, you know, had they just been honest about it.
Right.
So after that, we get yet another card shop. And this is like the worst rivalry I've ever heard, because we get another card shop 50 yards from this card shop in the same mall. It is as far as from your bedroom to your kitchen. Like, it is that close together. And this store's name is Paradise Games. They're actually still open. They're in a different location now, but community once again gets divided. We always have like what we call like the underground, like freedom fighters of Dragon's Pen Trading, which was the other card shop that was born from the flea market. And then we had the Paradise Games players. And once again, we're kind of on both ends of the spectrum. We're kind of like just trying to buy cards from Dragon's Pen, but play at Paradise because their play space was nicer. It was bigger. And then some people wouldn't go to the other, and Yu-Gi-Oh's kind of divided again for quite some time. Dragon's Pen eventually ends up closing their doors and just closing up shop. So we're down to, from having 3 card shops, actually, we had Dragon's Pen, Across the Board Games, and Paradise, down to having Paradise and Across the Board Games, which we didn't really go to Across the Board because, once again, it was just a Magic store. So
I
go
would
ahead.
pop in. I would pop in from like time to time, like for the like, because like I got into like Vanguard for a look at like a little bit, but like it didn't really pop off around here, so I just ended up stopped going after that.
Yeah. Yeah. So Paradise Games was like a utopian card shop compared to anything that we have ever had. They had product, they had sleeves, they had a very large play area. They had like two big rooms and then like the floor area, and they had collectibles. It was a really cool store. We all really enjoyed going there. The one thing that we never liked, though, was they never sold Yu-Gi-Oh singles. They actually still don't sell Yu-Gi-Oh singles.
Yeah.
Their single selection was if they decided to crack open a box of a new set and put the singles in the case, and that was the extent of it. They didn't buy Yu-Gi-Oh cards. They didn't sell Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
I think the biggest amount of singles that they had was when was it the 5Ds collection that came with like Quasar?
I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
It had, like whatever set like that had like Ultramax C.
Yes. Yeah. That was the one they cracked a lot of, and they actually sold a lot of that one. And they did some of that for the Secret Forces release too.
Yeah.
And that was just because if you pulled a couple Brios out of a case, you paid for your case and 2 cards.
Yeah.
So we went here for a long time, and there were no issues. I mean, it was completely fine. You know, it was a fine place to play. We had locals throughout the week. We had locals on the weekend.
They started incorporating Twitch.
Yeah, we started streaming on Twitch there for a while. They had a streaming room. It was a really nice place to play, and I felt like the owners would give us what we wanted. I remember being there on a Saturday, and they ran 4 tournaments throughout the day. It was like, I will run them as much as you guys want while we're open. And then one of the problems with this store, though, from its conception, was it was inside the mall, so they had to obey mall hours, which was like 10 o'clock to like 6 o'clock. So I think it made it difficult on them to run like Magic the Gathering pre-releases and stuff, which happened at midnight. Mm-hmm. So that was one problem with it. But we made it work for what it was, and we went there for a long time. And we started missing having a place to buy singles, you know, because it was just nice to be able to walk 5 steps the other way, get your cards, and you were done. So we started kind of exploring other places that we could go, started looking into, some guys went to a card shop called R&B Games in Statesville on Fridays. I only ever went like one time, but the main place we would go to was this store called Card Stop Gaming, which was in in Winston at Marketplace Mall, another mall. So I don't know what the reoccurring theme about malls. I guess that was just the best place to have a store like that at that time. It's probably not that way now, but we would go there every week on Thursday nights.
Yeah. And that, I'm like that place was up like to the blind eye, you know, because you know there was, you know, things going on behind the scenes, but like up to the blind eye, you know, like Card Stop was, you know, it was pretty nice. You know, it was a more like, as far as like competitive wise, it was a higher scale ceiling of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh players that went. So we got to get, you know, a lot of good testing there, like when we would get like prepared for regionals and stuff like that. So that helped out a lot. Like, not saying like our group was ever like not a good playtest group, because like there were like we would have our big spurts of like time where like we would just grind Yu-Gi-Oh like nonstop. But like, you know, we would, whenever we got the chance to play against like more upper echelon levels of players, we jumped on those chances.
Yeah. So we went there for a long time, and we actually just all lived and breathed Yu-Gi-Oh. Looking back on this, we would play Yu-Gi-Oh almost every day somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's wild actually to look back on that. So we went to this place for a long time. They had a huge selection of Yu-Gi-Oh singles, so we would go from Card Stop to Paradise. You know, sometimes we would have a tournament at Card Stop, go back, have a tournament at Paradise, vice versa. And then they kind of got into like not really a war with each other, but kind of bickering back and forth because players were going to one place instead of the other, and then that kind of led to more division within the community and some drama, and eventually all of that finally got cleared up. But it was rough out in those streets for a while. I'll be fair with you.
Yeah, I almost completely forgot about the Paradise Card Stop beef, like,
which is crazy considering they were an hour away from each other.
Yeah, like it was pretty wild, like, because the thing about it is I don't really even remember what initiated said beef.
I actually do remember what started it. Was Cardstop was going to have a pre-release on a Thursday for some Yu-Gi-Oh set. I don't remember what the set was, but they had been planning on it for a while. Well, we were going to have a cube draft tournament the same night that we had planned about 6 months in advance. And all the players from Cardstop, or a lot of them, came to the cube draft tournament instead. So then that got into like the owner of that shop messaging the owner of Paradise being like, can you not do tournaments on Thursdays? And then the owner of Paradise was like, bet, you know, watch me. So then they started pumping out tournaments on Thursdays on purpose, and then it was just
Yeah.
one thing. It was like a domino effect. One thing went back and forth. And the thing about it is, I don't even think the two owners ever met each other, but like one time.
Yeah,
And
I think the owner of Cardstop came down to Paradise
he did.
one time, and I don't remember if he was like playing in the tournament
He
or
he came
or if he
down to
was just
actually vend.
yeah, that's what it was. That's what it
Yeah.
was.
He came down to vend in the store and actually paid Paradise like some kind of percentage of what he sold for coming there to sell, which I've always thought personally, if you don't sell Yu-Gi-Oh singles, or maybe even if you do, that bringing someone in, to have cards to buy and sell to people in the store, them giving you a little bit of a cut is a really good deal. Honestly, I mean, what do you lose from that especially if you're not selling Yu-Gi-Oh singles?
Right. Like I like we like and like me, you, and like the rest of the guys. We just got back from the BBG 2K. Like, well, it was like not last week, right? The
2
week
weeks
before.
ago? Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks ago.
And our friend Trey Faircloth, shouts him. He just opened up his storefront for Airfare Gaming in Fayetteville, and he I think he might had like I think he like cut like yeah, you go a good percentage of like what he was selling so he could set up shop there.
Yeah, he wanted to come and kind of sell and trade and kind of get his name out there a little bit more. And yeah, that was really, really cool. I'll take a second here to interrupt your scheduled podcast to talk about the upcoming 5K BBG tournament's going to be held in December. So let me pull up
Yes.
the post here.
I'm pumped for this.
I'm going to try to find this post. Let's see. Okay, so it's going to be Saturday, December 9th at 10 a.m. And it's going to be, looks like, this is going to be a 2-day event. I actually didn't know that.
Oh yeah, it's pretty much YCS.
Wow, that's crazy. So it's going to do an unsanctioned event, 40-minute Swiss rounds, best 2 out of 3. Nothing different there. Day 1 Swiss rounds and day 2 top cut based on attendance, if it'll be top 16 or top 32. The location is the JS Dorton Arena. It's 4285 Trinity Road in Raleigh, North Carolina. Entry fees $50. Pro tip, make sure you go through gate 9. Registration begins at 8:30 a.m. with round 1 starting at 10 o'clock a.m. And players are encouraged to pre-register. You can find the link to this event on Facebook. Just look up Big Boy Gaming and you can follow the email address there or call the phone number to be able to pre-register for this. It's going to be awesome.
Yes.
So I took a long break from Yu-Gi-Oh! Around 2017 while Paradise was still open. Cardstop Gaming was still open. So I was out of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Scene until 2020, the end of the pandemic. So there might have actually been things that happened that I didn't know about. But for the most part, I think everything was still the same. Paradise Games actually ended up moving from Mayberry Mall over onto Market Street, where they opened up their own storefront.
Mm-hmm.
And Cardstop Gaming in Winston eventually closed its doors, I think, in later 2018, maybe early 2019.
I think
So that, go ahead.
I think it was early 2019, I believe.
Yeah, that would make sense. And pretty much left Winston without a card shop besides House of Cards, which we really never went to, but just a couple times. It was more of a Magic store, kind of like an across-the-board game situation. Speaking of them, they closed their doors in like 2017, 2018. And when I came back into the game in 2020, after a long, miserable, terrible relationship, the first time I came back to Paradise, the vibe was just not the same as it was before. Obviously, as things grow and evolve, they're going to change. It's just natural progression of life. But it just was not what it was before.
Yeah, it really was. It really wasn't like, I was like during that time period. I was, popping in and out, making it down when I could, like just like you. I was like, at the time, I was like getting out of. I just got out out of a bad relationship, and like also at the same time, like I just like during the pandemic, I became a father. You know, and so I wasn't, you know, with a newborn, I wasn't able to get out to Paradises like as much as I wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah. So we still played there for locals. Locals were being held on Sunday at this time, and the play area was very small. They went from having a very large place to play to a very small enclosed room to play in.
Yeah. Not to cut you off again. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
But it was during the time of I don't remember what set Phantasme came out of the Fantastical Dragon Phantasme. I don't remember what set he came out of.
Yeah.
But it was during that time. It was during that time period. They were actually doing like box tournaments and stuff, and like we would have from anywhere from 18 players to like I think the most we had at one time for these box tournaments was like 35. I think was the highest we got to at one point.
Yeah.
It was like it became like like our to that date it became our best local for a while just because everybody was coming out.
Yeah. They were running tournaments and having a lot of people come out. I remember getting people just from, I don't even know, people would come from all over to come play there. And little by little, it started to kind of just drop off. Those numbers started going from like 30 to 20 to 10 down to 5. And I don't really think that they were doing anything that was really causing them to not come back. Yu-Gi-Oh is kind of just always weird. Yu-Gi-Oh is very popular in our area in like the fall through the winter and always dies off during the spring and the summer. It's just always been that way. I'm sure it always will be that way. People are outside. They don't want to be stuck inside.
Yeah.
And I don't really think they understood that. So there became to be a lot of resentment towards the Yu-Gi-Oh community. And the numbers were very small. I remember one of my first locals back was like 6 people. And I'm like, what the heck? That we used to have like 25, 30 people come out for these things.
Right.
And it kind of just got to where, obviously playing in an OTS store, OTS being official tournament store through Konami, they get sent product directly from Konami, which would be OTS packs. And those OTS packs are supposed to be for like entry fees. They can be used as prizing, whatever, because a OTS store is not supposed to be profiting off of Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments, according to Konami's policy. Right. So if your entry fee is $5, that's 1 pack for entering. If your entry fee is $10, that's 2 OTS packs, so forth and so forth. Every pack is like valued at $5. So we were paying $7 to play for 1 OTS pack, and which they're not supposed to do. They're making $2 off the tournament. We kind of just turned a blind eye because we didn't have anywhere else to play. We didn't really have options. So we were like, whatever. It's better than having to go back and run tournaments in Brandon's house or your house or something.
Yeah.
So we just dealt with it for a long time. And, people would come from other areas. They would complain about it. They just didn't really want to hear the negative pushback that came from that. And eventually, we kind of talked everyone down. And we're like, look, it's $2. It's not worth the argument. Well,
right.
After playing for quite some time and getting OTS packs and going through boxes and boxes and boxes, when you're giving away all of this product and no one is pulling ultimate rares, it starts to get a little unbelievable that you're just like not receiving boxes that have ultimate rares in them. So when you play for 2 months with the same OTS packs and no one has pulled an ultimate, it kind of makes you raise your eye for some suspicion.
Right.
So, we kind of were like, hey, what's going on? This is weird. And of course, we don't get anywhere. This store has 3 owners, by the way. That's a very important part of this story. One of the owners, I truthfully believe, would do anything for anybody. I think he would give them the shirt off of his back.
Oh yeah.
The other owner is 50-50. Just depends on how he's feeling that day. I never really had any kind of altercations or anything with him. He was just, I would just say he was just kind of lazy, honestly. You know,
Yeah.
maybe kind of laid back and lazy. And then the other one is just not a very pleasant person, and I'll just leave it at that. Just not a pleasant person.
That's as mild as we can put it.
Yeah, not a pleasant person. I would like to say more. I'm going to refrain, but because I'm not here to bash anyone. So not a pleasant person.
Right.
And we start to kind of get suspicious of this. So we start asking, you know, and of course there's a lot of them being incredibly defensive about it. You know, they would silence people on the Facebook page for asking, why aren't we pulling ultimates? They get muted for 2 or 3 days. And they would say like, oh, you only get like 3 of every ulti in a box or something. We're like, okay, well, we've went through 2 boxes, you know, so we should be getting something.
Right.
And then they finally messed up. And one of our friends bought cards from them that they were selling on an alternate TCG player account with a different name. And pretty much once we found out about that, we would start monitoring this fake Facebook page. And we knew it was them because that owner had messaged our friend and said, hey, just come by and pick these up so I don't have to ship them to you. That's where they messed up. That's when we found out where they were coming from. So we would look on there and we would see 5 or 6 ultimate rares from the OTS boxes being listed on this alternate TCG player store. And we reached out to Konami several times. Basically, Konami said due to staffing issues, there was nothing that they could do. It was completely out of their hands. And, you know, we had real proof that they were doing this. So unfortunately, Konami was never able to actually do anything. And this place actually started posting ultis on their actual TCG player site, which was bizarre to me that they were doing that. Konami still wouldn't do anything about it, which really sucks. So, you know, we kind of pointed all that out, and then it just got met with like a lot of negativity, a lot of defensiveness, and that was pretty much Yu-Gi-Oh! On its last leg at this place. After that, very few people came back. We had a few if we just really wanted to get together and play cards on a Sunday. But for the most part, that really just ruined Yu-Gi-Oh! For them. Was, you know, it didn't matter whether they acknowledged it or not. It was more of the fact that it was there in black and white. We knew what they were doing.
Yeah. I just recently stopped going back. Like,
yeah. It gets, if you're interested now, it gets even more interesting. So we, pretty much everyone in my area outside of just a few people stopped playing modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Early last year. We just, we've talked about this a few times. The game was just headed in a direction we just did not like anymore. Could not do it anymore. We're too old to go into a new format every week when a new set drops. And we started playing Edison format. And we wanted to have tournaments for Edison format so we could get together and play locals. We were going to go back to this place yet again that had stabbed us in the back so many times. We were going to go back and give them money yet again when we didn't want to, but we were going to. And pretty much that just led to having the community divided yet again. Edison players, modern players, and we just simply just couldn't coexist. It wasn't necessarily an issue of the players versus the player. It was more of they wouldn't run a modern tournament and an Edison tournament on the same day because they said it was too difficult when like the total amount of players playing was like 12 people. So like 6 on each side.
Like it was I still remember that day. It was absolutely insane. Like just like they were like legitimately mad that we were trying to have both.
Yeah. Yeah, and all we wanted to do was just run 2 separate brackets. I even remember someone was like, okay, well, we'll just run it, you know, through Challenge and just run it ourselves. You know, we just want to play. And they wouldn't do it, so that kind of made things bad again. So pretty much none of the Edison players have set foot back in there. A couple weeks ago, something else happened to the modern community, if you want to talk about that, with the shortening of the rounds.
Oh yeah. So this was the straw that broke this camel's back. Um,
The final
so
time. The final
yeah,
time.
for the final time. So I you know I like for all y'all that know me, like I am a big Dark World fanatic. I love the deck, like, and that's the only like literally that and Heroes are the only two decks that keep me like even like the slightest interested in modern Yu-Gi-Oh. Like so I play Dark World off and on in their like in their modern tournaments and stuff when I have the time. And we I the it's probably been about a month or so, maybe 3 weeks to a month ago now. And we were in the middle of a local tournament, and literally like like for all y'all for one people that don't know like rounds in modern now are 45 minutes, and it was literally it'd been shortened down to like 20 minutes per round for this local, which is always it's always gave me the feeling for like the longest time that they just didn't like really care for the Yu-Gi-Oh community to be around. So it felt like we were it's always being rushed out of the store.
Yeah, I feel the
Like
same way.
it like especially like with the one owner like that we both agreed is lazy. Like just as soon it's like they would close at 5, and literally as soon as 5 o'clock would hit, this one owner is like
All
pretty
right,
much like
get out.
yeah, yeah, kick like yelling at us, kick like damn near just kicking us out the door.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's wild. And like it was like literally like the rounds got shortened to like 20 minutes, something like that. And like me, like it's like not even me that's just noticing that. It's like me and like everybody I played against were all noticing this. Is like there's no way that was 45 minutes. There's no actual way.
Yeah. Like if you shorten the rounds in modern to 20-25 minutes, that's one turn.
Yeah,
Somebody's
it
turn
is.
one combo takes 20 minutes.
Yeah, and like you've seen how my Dark World deck plays out. Like that's gonna take a while.
Exactly. Even like
Right.
prior to Dark World, I remember playing against Dragon Link at a regional and
Hmm.
specifically watching the timer. And this guy's turn one combo was 18 minutes. And he was playing at a reasonable pace. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you can't drop the time in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like for multiple
And
reasons. For the first one being it's just bad for the game. The second one being that's not what Konami says is okay.
right. And like I was like after 2 rounds of it, I got I obviously I'm suspicious of it now. So I take out my phone and set up Neuron for the last round. And what I did is I set the timer on it from the time he said start. I pressed the timer button and we got to playing, and literally the time that was on the phone after he called time was 22 minutes and like 56 seconds.
Yeah. So 23-minute rounds essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is insane. We also left out the part where we got our timer taken away.
Oh yeah. Our
Yeah.
giant timer.
Yeah. So like Ty said, 45-minute rounds in Yu-Gi-Oh! And time is incredibly important in Yu-Gi-Oh! You need to know what time in the round is because you need to make sure that your opponent's not slow playing. Your opponent needs to make sure that you're not slow playing. And sometimes decisions in Yu-Gi-Oh! When you're getting close to time just matter. That's just the game by design. Like a big one during this time was like Predaplant Verte Anaconda, paying 2,000 to fusion summon. If you have two
Hmm.
minutes left, you probably don't want to do that.
Right. Like if your deck has stuff like Upstart Goblin in it, you probably want to side that out.
Yeah, you probably don't want Upstart when there's 3 minutes left in the round. So we lost our timer because they said that Yu Gi Oh players would manipulate time to their advantage. which that does suck. I understand the sentiment of it. I really do. It does suck when, the game's being played at a reasonable pace. When there's 3 minutes left, it's like turbo, go as fast as you can. But that's just the game itself. That's nothing to do with the players, nothing to do with the store that's hosting the tournament. It's just straight from Konami. Like whatever they say for their time rules, that's just what you have to do.
Right.
So, yeah, we lost our timer. And I actually remember being there for locals one day and someone had a timer on their phone and they told them to turn it off.
Yeah, I believe I remember somebody tell me about that. I'm pretty sure you were the one that told me about that.
Yeah, and how I was at this time was I was playing Dark Magician, so a Verte Anaconda deck, and I'm like, I'm keeping up with time. I don't care who says I can't. And if you tell me to turn it off, I'm just not turning it off. Like, you have no legal right to look at my phone for anything.
Right.
So, yeah, it's with the shortening of the rounds to 25 minutes, we can pretty much say that that's the end of Yu-Gi-Oh! There, as far as most of the veteran Yu-Gi-Oh! Players go. I haven't been there to play in a tournament in a very long time. I really don't plan on going back. And yeah, so another good place kind of just ruined by greed.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So once again, it's not intended to bash anyone. It's just talking about the truth here. So we do have a couple other stores we can talk about here. 2021, we started going to Greensboro to play cards at a store called Easy Gaming. And this place is just a normal functioning card shop. It's plain as an old shoe, like everything is just fine. It's nothing completely over the top that either it's trying to push other people out, and it's not bottom of the barrel. It's like a very good middle ground store with a good player base, good owners that know how to run a business, that know how to cater to their player base. And yeah, they do a lot of different games: Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, Pokemon. Probably not Card Fight Vanguard. No one's interested in that anymore.
Yeah, no, that's another story for another time.
Yeah, and I love going there. I've never had any issues with that store since I've been going for almost 3 years now. And
Same.
they actually give away the OTS product. They don't open it. They charge a reasonable amount for tournaments, and they run Edison. They'll actually run any tournament that you want as long as the people are there for it. So we can have Edison, we can have GOAT, we can have Modern, we have Critter format, whatever you want. If you got the people there, they'll run it for you. So I definitely recommend checking that place out.
Dude, I kind of want to get. So I want to get one shop involved in Critter format, just like as a side note.
Yeah,
that just seems like kind of fun.
Yeah, just as a meme.
Yeah.
We also have a store called Picante TCG, which is about 10 minutes away from Easy. It's like every one of these stores we've talked about have had another store like very close by. But
Right.
Picante is the main spot for Edison. We mainly go there and play Edison. They have a Switch tournament at least once a month, and it's always fun there. A lot of people come out from different places. A lot of big name Edison players come out to go play there. And it's really cool. It's a lot of fun. Both of those shops sell singles, and I highly recommend checking them out when you're in the area of Greensboro.
Definitely.
And if you're in the Jonesville area, another locals that we're trying to grow just to have somewhere that's a little closer to us. Greensboro is about an hour away. Jonesville is like 30 some minutes away. So we're trying to grow Flashpoint games with Edison format, and they're still pretty like green on their Yu-Gi-Oh side. They're still trying to get players to come there and stuff like that. But no complaints with that store. We've went there a couple times now, and price support could be a little bit better. I would like for them to give out a little more product for entering. Just to kind of draw people into playing there. But other than that, I have no issues with that place at all.
Yeah, I remember when we did this the Switch tournament that they had. It was at first it was just going to be just the Switch for first, and that was just going to be it. And then after a few of us had voiced concerns and stuff about product being given out for the pricing or whatever for the tournament, I know they gave me like a few packs for getting second at that event.
Yeah. So they definitely kind of righted their wrongs on that, which is okay. It's
Yeah,
okay to
yeah,
make a mistake as long as you acknowledge it and you come out better.
yeah. Like it's still a very dope store. I have fun every time we go.
Yeah,
And
me too.
I feel like I feel like one thing I was going to say this, um, like with their Yu-Gi-Oh community being like, it's like they have they do have a community there, but I think what it's going to take for like it to get like for it to grow and get better, I feel like they don't really have any like veteran Yu-Gi-Oh players there at all.
Yeah, most of their
I,
players are relatively new, I believe.
yeah, I feel like it would be I think it would be beneficial, like a few of us like went down there and like, you know, taught them because like even though like a lot of us like I know for a grand majority of them play modern, but I still feel like even though we don't play modern like that, I still feel like we could go and still teach them things about how to play modern Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, I feel the
Is
same
that it,
way. So that
I don't
I'm
think
sorry,
we're
go ahead.
that far removed. Sorry, I don't think we're that far removed from modern yet to where where we can't teach.
Yeah. I actually went through all of my stuff last night and I have like one of those ultra pro binders
Mhm.
full of modern cards from front to back, every pocket of crap
Dang.
I didn't even realize I still had for modern Yu-Gi-Oh. I guess it's like you truly never quit,
Yeah.
but I was like, dang, I still have a lot of stuff for modern. I have like Exo Sister, I have Libromancer, which I love as a deck. I won't get rid of that. But Burning Abyss, Nekroz, I just have a ton of stuff for modern Yu-Gi-Oh! And the only modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck I have put in sleeves is Crystal Beast, and it just rots in my backpack. I play that deck like once a year, but it's my favorite deck, so she ain't going anywhere.
I don't blame you.
One of these days, I'm going to pick up Revolution Synchron so I can have the deck actually done, but not while he's
It,
$50.
he's dropped now.
Has he went down some?
And I think he's like 30, 35. It's still a good chunk
Gosh.
for a card, but I mean, it's he's a dropping.
What deters me from that is like if I buy 3 Revolution Synchrons, that's like $100 pretty much. I'm
Yeah,
like, I could build 6 Edison decks for that.
yeah, it's
Crazy.
insane.
Crazy.
It's literally insane the price difference between like Edison and modern. And like the thing about Edison is literally only expensive if you make it expensive. Like
Yeah.
your deck could be $50, or you can just if you like taken from your like your intro to
High
the
rarity
ultimate
snobbery.
yeah to the ultimate light sword guys like high rarity snobbery.
Yeah.
Your deck could be $5,000.
Yeah. I am part of the high rarity snobbery gang when it comes to Lightsworn. I swear, dude, if you play common Lightsworn, that shit doesn't mill.
It doesn't.
It doesn't mill nearly as good.
It's like I remember playing against Raikoko in the Ultimate Time Wizard tournament, and like I'm like all my like for anybody listening, all my decks I ever build, whether it be modern, whether it be Edison, well, other than my Dark World deck, because like I'm high rarity snobbery with that, but when it comes to anything else, all my decks. And Michael can attest to this. All my decks look like they were ordered off Wish.
Yeah, you've got like one ultra of a card, one common, and I'm just like, I'm having a stroke looking at this.
Like right now in my Diva Hero deck, I have one common absolute zero that's French, one super absolute zero, and one ultra absolute zero.
You have the whole gang.
I
You
was
mentioned Raikoko. We are going to have him on the podcast very soon. We were
Yeah,
supposed to have him Thursday. Some things came up, we weren't able to, but we are going to have him soon. That man is insane.
yeah,
Um, he is like hilarious in the way I don't think he realizes how funny he is. Like, we're a little over an hour, so we'll get out of here soon. But at one of the BBG 2Ks, This man used a different Worlds Magic the Gathering Worlds Spellground mat every round that he was on stream. Like those mats are like $5,000. And like this man
Yeah.
just has a bag full of Magic like 99 Worlds mats, and he's just changing them every round. It was hilarious.
This man dropped 2 Ultimate Caiuses on me when we played at the Ultimate Time Wizard tournament at Nationals. I'm like, literally 2 cards in your deck are worth more than probably my entire bag.
Yeah, I think the last time I played him, he was on Synchro Cat. He just wanted to play a deck for fun, and I'm like, dang, this guy's out here playing a fun deck that's like still like $2,000, like super rare Gravekeeper Spies and just insane stuff that he has. So Ryan's cool. I enjoy playing with Ryan. Yeah, shouts to him for winning. Was it Devastators 4 or 5?
Yeah, Devastators 5.
Yeah, shouts to him. Okay, well, a little over an hour, so I guess we're gonna wrap this thing up. Ty, do you have any closing statements about anything?
Well, I'll say, like, I know this is like we said at the beginning, this is like something like we've been wanting to like talk about for a while, and like, you know, like we said, all like off camera, off microphone, like you know, I feel like this was like therapeutic for us, because you know, I feel like me and you, honestly, we were probably like the last of our guard to, you know, just stop playing at you know, Paradise, you know. So it was just, I think that was, you know, the biggest part of our, you know, our, like, the locals, you know, timeline.
Yeah,
that we just need, like, you know, we like that needed to be addressed.
yeah.
This was, but yeah, this was definitely fun. Like I said, I always love being on the podcast, being a co-host. It's always fun for me.
Yeah, it's always a good time. We're gonna have an episode with you soon with Pyro, a true hero.
Yes,
I heard back from him the other day on Discord, so we're gonna get him on one day really soon too. So
yeah, my sensei.
Yeah, been a good episode. I enjoyed talking about Yu-Gi-Oh card shop history from all the way up in the early 2000s up until, you know, a couple weeks ago. So yeah, guys, thank you all for tuning in. And this is Mike and Ty from the Edison Club podcast signing out. We'll see you guys on the next one.